Yeah.
So this morning, we're going to be talking, as we mentioned, the Phantom Focus panel. Now, what is that, you ask? So, yeah, what is that, you ask?
What is that? Tell us, please.
So we're going to be focusing on phantoms that are seen within horror movies, but not necessarily just to talk about, oh yeah, this one, this one. It's because a lot of these, when they mention ghosts or paranormal, there's reality behind that. What kind of spirit is it? What kind of entity is it? But before we get started, we're going to all kind of introduce ourselves. I'll get started since I'm already talking. My name's Noelle. I am the host of Creepy Confidential. I talk about cryptids, cults, conspiracies, and other worldly creepy. My main focus has always been the paranormal. I've been a paranormal investigator for 17 years, and I've been researching the paranormal for 20 years. So not to give up my age, but I kind of look like a vampire, I know. So, Miss Joanna?
Yes, hello, I'm Joanna, you're Supreme. Hello. And if you don't know me from Ghouliecon, I'm Cover Screen.
Very cool. And I'm Alex. I am the host of Strange Talk Radio. We've been on Radio Artifact since 2017 and existed far longer than that, but spent many, many years now talking about all things strange, weird, paranormal, ghosts, cryptids, aliens, sandwiches, you name it, we talk about it. We have sandwiches of history. People always get thrown off by the sandwiches.
I love it. And I met Miss Alex last year, and it seemed like we were very similar in our loves of just all things odd, strange, unexplainable.
Ghost hunting. We did do a ghost hunt.
And we did like a quick paranormal investigation in the stairwell. If you guys were there, that one had some mojo going on.
There was a lot going on last. Yeah.
Real life. But talking about paranormal and movies, you guys will see my phone just so that I can remember some of the more detailed things. I have a horrible memory, but too many things floating around in there, that's why. So the first one is there are types of entities within the real world. Two of the big categories are conscious and non-conscious entities. One is literally what it sounds like. It's conscious. It can talk to you. It can move things. It can respond back. Those are conscious entities. I always use the example like Beetlejuice when you talk about Lydia's mom and dad. Those two are not mom and dad, the Maitlands, those guys are conscious entities. They're able to talk. She's more of a medium, but that's besides the point.
You could call them her parents.
Yeah.
They kind of adopt her.
They're pretty much her parents.
Couldn't we all be adopted by kindly ghosts?
They're the parents she really wanted, yeah. And then a non-conscious entity is exactly that. It is actually not a spirit per se. What you're seeing is residual entity or residual sort of energy that's floating around. You're catching something in a loop, something that you may, even if you think you hear a name or you think you hear something, there is a chance that that paranormal entity is gone and this is just an echo of a reality that used to exist. So I think knowing when you're watching these movies, I don't think they add enough residual into movies.
They really don't.
Like freak you out, make you think that it's really, really scary, and it turns out it's just been messing with everybody the whole time, and it's a really bad memory of something. But that's me if I was, horror movies.
The Shining has a lot of residual in it.
It is. And I remember watching it the first time, and that was something. It took me a minute, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of stuff going on in here.
There's a lot.
And then with those, the conscious and the non-conscious, I also break it down into kind of the two of the big categories. You have human and non-human. There's others, you get things, demon, yada, yada. But the two big ones are human and non-human. And those are things that we consider as well. And even when you break it down like a Jason, where it's just driven by evil. He's not necessarily something, he's just full of evil, and that's how he stays alive. Hopefully I'm using the right entities, because those movies are not always something that's on my on my list. So we're going to be talking about those when we discuss this. So the movies, what movies are we going to talk about? So the first one is probably, I could say, I comfortably say everybody loves it, and that's Ghost Ship.
Yeah.
You see?
Who likes Ghost Ship? Come on.
I would say everybody loves it. The opening scene, oh my God, alone. The opening scene. People at that point might decide they're not going to watch Ghost Ship. So that's the first one we're gonna talk about. Now within this movie, there are a lot of ghosts. There's a lot going on. But we're gonna break down kind of, we had a discussion here, and the first one is the ship itself, the MS Antonio Graza. So we'll start over on the other end here with Alex. What type of entity do you think the Antonio Graza is? Because clearly something's going on.
Obviously, the ship itself is not really conscious, as it is a ship.
Right.
It is not Thomas the Tank Train engine.
Right.
It could be, but it's not. So I would classify that it is sort of a loop in history. So that is how I would classify that one.
Yeah.
As we were talking about it.
Exactly. So do you believe that as well?
Yeah. I think when we did our discussion,
We all kind of agreed on that one.
Yeah.
That's conscious decision.
Yeah, we're like, even though it's not a human, it's not living, breathing human, so that falls into the non-human. But what is it? Is it able to know? Does it really know? And I think something we talked about is it's what's on the ship, what's in the ship, the energy that is within the ship.
Yes.
Now, so we see many ghosts. We see Katie, of course. She's able to move her little blocks. That one was one that was, but it seemed too obvious. It seemed too obvious. And then the captain, you see these kind of shadows, and they're trying to scare him. But something was that I think whatever evil is on that ship is what's causing us to see these shadows of what was there.
It's like so much energy got built up from the horrible things that happened there that it is just feeding all of this bad stuff continuing to happen.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to use you.
And that was exactly one of the things we talked about was the evil manipulations that were causing the deaths, and many of them, and all in very awful, awful ways. It wasn't just like, oh, you had a heart attack and you died. They're very violent ways.
Yes.
And so let's talk about some of those evil manipulations that we see on the ghost ship, because something somewhere is able to manipulate. So the gas valves.
Yeah, the gas
when they
valves.
turn onto the ship, you can physically see them moving. So you know that, oh, something just didn't explode. Something caused this to happen.
Yes.
The pump malfunction when the dude gets ground up, like ground beef. Two of them, actually, I think. No, just one.
We just laughed.
Yeah. Because there was a sort of camp to it, but
I would say that Ghost Ship is highly camp.
Yep.
It's camp.
Because there was a sort of camp to it, but
I would say that Ghost Ship is highly camp.
Yep.
It's campier.
Because there was a sort of camp to it, but
I would say that Ghost Ship is highly camp.
Yep.
It's campier.
Start to unfold. Now, do you think it was this Jack person, or do you think it was still the evil manipulation, something within the boat?
And that one is kind of where it gets like really debatable.
Yeah.
Because you have an evil person and an evil ship both doing things here.
Did they combine into one?
I kind of think that one
Oh my
was
God,
the
it's like
ship.
Captain Planet.
Yeah.
Oh, this one.
Well, and how much of it is this guy is so evil that the ship is kind of like, oh yeah, I'll lock him in there. All right,
Yeah.
I'm on board with this.
And that brings us to the next one, is Jack himself. Now, we meet him early on, but he's human. You can see him, you can talk to him, he's interacting with everybody. You just believe that he is just a normal, everyday person. But you can tell something's awry.
Something's
from
not right.
the very beginning, and just from the way he talks alone, should have been the way. Like, he never talks normal. But that first twist, I think he's human. I don't
at
think
least
he's
at
a
the start.
non-human entity.
Yeah.
I think he is human, and I also believe he is a conscious human entity of some kind. But he's bad. He's real bad. He is
not a
like
good guy.
these big horror movies that you see where it's just evil pumped into a human that's keeping him alive. But there's a possibility, again, that not a ghost but a human operated all the evil within the ship. That's what we mentioned.
Yeah, that is a possibility. But also something's not right with that ship either, though.
Well, no.
It wouldn't be called Ghost Ship if it wasn't haunted.
Yes. So, do you think that Jack is a demon, or because this is something that, or do you think he is just a very evil being that is doing this?
He could be a demon, which is definitely a possibility.
Because we brought up trauma.
We brought that up, but he also just could be so malevolent that he might have some kind of ESP, some kind of telekinesis.
Is that they're just using him because they already know he's evil enough.
So to twist the paranormal even more and to talk about the maybe possibility of a demon, what's with burning into the hands?
Yeah, that was the part that we were like, okay, he might be a demon.
Right.
Because I mean, you can have like pyrotelekinesis, but it's not as common.
Right.
It's more common with something like a demon.
It's one of those, if you're in the paranormal world, all of a sudden you start going over every single technicality that it could possibly be.
Yeah.
But I think these movies like this give you a chance to see this is not a killer clown from outer space.
Oh, no.
This is a human being that is causing these. I know.
Sorry, we shouldn't have brought up clowns.
I forgot the
Sorry.
C word. The C word is a trigger. Yeah, the C word is a trigger. So I think that was one. but he cannot be killed.
Yes.
So
He can't be killed.
You know, plot twist again. Also, hopefully didn't destroy it. In the end, he gets blown into
If you haven't seen
smithereens.
Ghost Ship by now, you're
You need to get, for someone who doesn't like horror movies, I've seen Ghost Ship many times. So, and then all
I'm
of a sudden,
sure everyone's here just probably seen
we're
Ghost
pretty
Ship.
sure. So those ones kind of, it's a good introduction into the human versus non-human, where you literally have a floating ship of evil that could be paranormal. I would never, ever, ever want to investigate.
I would never do a paranormal investigation, not on a ship. I would never do it on a ship.
I'll go, because I'm afraid of water that doesn't have a bottom. If I fall in the water.
On the off chance we find something really bad, it's hard to leave a ship.
That is very
And
true.
that's
I can
it.
leave a building.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
No.
Very true.
I was in the Navy and I'm afraid of deep water. Figured that one out. I'm like, not getting on the boat.
You were facing your fears.
Yeah. So that's the first one. We're just kind of glancing over to two movies that maybe one that a lot of people have seen, and then the next one though I'm not sure everybody has seen, and that is The Changeling.
George C.
from 1980.
Scott's The Changeling.
Yeah, and this was one that Alex brought up. It was not what I thought it was going to be.
We really picked two movies where some really bad stuff happens in like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which was not intentional, but
Yeah. That first,
Yeah.
within the first few minutes, family members get run over by like a gigantic car. Oh my God, there's a ship on land.
vehicles are all evil in all of
Vehicles,
these movies.
yeah.
Has everyone here seen The Changeling?
The original?
The original?
Yeah, we got
Okay.
one. Okay, so you will know all the references then. We're gonna be like, what do you think? Yep.
Staring directly at
We're
the
like,
audience.
so what do you think is paranormal? Yeah, coming for you. So within this movie, this plot kind of follows an esteemed New York composer who relocates to Seattle after an incident.
His
which
family
you
gets
see
hit by a car.
in the very beginning. Yeah, and he moves into a mansion, but he doesn't move into like, hey, I'd like a big house on the hill. He literally calls the historic society,
Yeah.
and it's basically like, so what's the most haunted place you got? But I
Yeah.
don't think he intended it to be haunted, but
Yeah.
it looks haunted. It looks like it's breathing from the
I don't
day
know
you
that
see it.
he picked the place, but the Historic Society went, yeah, please take care of our haunted mansion.
Yeah.
I don't know why we can never get anybody to stay in our haunted mansion. Is
Yeah.
it because it's haunted?
It's
I don't
very
know.
haunted. So and that's part of it too. But while we could debate that the house is haunted itself, that is kind of one to talk about. So in this one, we see the guy moves in, and all of a sudden you start to understand the history of a young man who was disabled that was killed there. He was drowned within like one of those old school bathtubs.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just kind of like upheavaled his legs and
Horror
drowned
movies
him.
really are trying to make us never go into any of those old
Yeah.
bathtubs.
Yes.
Or
It,
shows, even if it's just shows, they just make you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that kicks off where then activity starts to happen, and it's that whole figure out where it's coming from. They're digging under the house. They're finding out what happened, and it turns out after this young man was murdered, they found basically a fill-in for a rich son to take the heir of what it was, and made him look just like him. And he had a little pendant, a Christian pendant, and that's what shows up later is this pendant.
Yes.
So it's as the activity starts to happen. I think that was one of them we discussed was, is this pendant an anchor that's causing all of this activity to happen? Because sometimes you have that. You have ashes. Someone will have cremated remains, and it's stuck to it. So the fact that this boy was stuck there.
Yeah.
Do you think that pendant had something to do with it?
It does seem the activity does center around that pendant.
Yeah.
And I think part of that, part of the movie goes into this kid was killed and then replaced because, he was disabled.
Yeah.
And the dad wanted a healthy son so he could keep the inheritance, basically.
Blood money.
And so the pendant,
Kind of.
I think part of the pendant is that the ghost is trying to be like, hey, I was replaced. It's trying to basically get justice. So I think that's part of why the pendant is so focused on, and it is kind of an anchor because it's like, I was born, I was the actual son.
Yeah. And it took a while for this one because it's not just a boy's ghost. The house literally, the steps, it's a flame. It reminds me of Christine. That first time you see Christine and the flames are going and you got the char, and it gave this, and at first I thought it was the house that was haunted, but I think it's the boy.
It's the boy, and he's kind of lashing out because he wants justice. He wants to be known, you know?
He's a human conscious entity. This is not residual. At first I thought it was like a big nasty echo, but also the wheelchair.
The wheelchair?
We were discussing the fact that the wheelchair could be a ghost.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you see things, you know, you like that. You really do. In the paranormal world, you see something where a person's not involved.
We can have a ghost ship, why not a ghost wheelchair?
A ghost wheelchair. Yes. And it makes you wonder then, you know, is this, like he's still stuck in this chair?
Yeah.
I think he's stuck in the chair.
You know?
I think so. But then there's things like, you know, he was playing with the ball earlier on where he was dropping it down the steps, which was the composer's daughter's ball that he brought with him. His daughter that died, he brought this ball she always used to play with, and the ghost would bounce it down the steps trying to get his attention.
Yeah, and there is a paranormal Easter egg within this movie. If you truly are a paranormal nerd, I guess.
Which you probably are if you're here.
Which if you're here, you might be.
Hi, guys.
So, welcome to the party. Once it starts to kick off, this gentleman decides he's going to bring a seance to the house. Because, right, from someone who
should just
has
do
a
that
hard
more
time with that.
often.
I was like, no. But so they're sitting down and they're having a seance, and in the middle of the table there is a conical shape that's silver, and it's probably about 3 feet tall.
Yeah, they're pretty tall.
And it's now the lady in the back. Do you remember that silver I told you I was coming back for you. She's like, yeah.
We're coming for you.
Just kidding. Do you remember seeing that silver trumpet shape?
I saw it about 30 years ago.
So it's been a little bit. Yeah. And that's where it is.
Yep. No judgment at all.
For a movie that takes place in fairly modern times, in the middle of the seance table is what's called a spirit trumpet. And they used it back in the age of spiritualism. So Harry Houdini has a very famous one that is somehow still around. And it's literally a silver trumpet, and they would use it to hear and talk to the spirits back before we had audio recorders and things of that nature.
Which I love that he had one because he was like famously trying to debunk everybody.
Right, and it was one of those things where I was like, what are you doing with a spirit trumpet in the middle of this movie that nobody knows what it is?
And they didn't even use it.
Yeah,
it was just hanging out.
It looked like a birthday cake sitting in the middle, but that's
really
that's what it was. But they did use several. If you watch this movie, it gives you a chance to see what's called an EVP. So, but back in the days when you had to use like real type audio, and that's not REAL, REEL.
Yes,
and
real to
he
real.
himself, someone who is a kind of an elite guy, figures out that if he replays this audio, there's something speaking to him within the audio. And it was a boy, and it was the boy's voice. So this also just brought it all back, that this is not some random residual ghost. This kid is pissed.
And something that happens really early on, he's a composer, and he's obviously composing a song, because that is literally his job. When he goes in the attic the first time, he finds this music box, and when he opens it, it plays the exact same song he had just been composing downstairs that he just wrote.
Just popped into his head.
Yeah.
So it also lets you know that whatever is in the house has been magically injecting things into his brain, and he didn't even know it. So there was, for being an older movie, and not like some crazy slasher, kick off, someone's running around with a knife. It was kind of one of those burns where you had to wait. And there was a lot of paranormal things happening within this movie.
Yeah, and
I enjoy.
I kind of love it too. The title, The Changeling, you think it's going to be a movie about like Fae, which is also very creepy.
I didn't think about that.
Nope. even that's a fake out. It's about, the boy who was replaced.
Yeah, I love that. Now I'm sure that everybody watches paranormal shows and they see all kinds of evidence and things what people do. And now that we've kind of gone through that, do any of you have some sort of, insight into some of these ghosts? Do you agree that, you can just stand up or raise your hand.
Yeah.
Do you agree that some of these, is it possible that there is such thing as a conscious entity that can do this? Do you think so? You would hope so? Yeah. And then do you also believe that a residual energy of some kind can make you think that it's after you? You know, paranormal is powerful stuff. I don't think enough people talk about it within movies. They just kind of run right into some crazy film and they enjoy it for what it's worth. But then you have nerds who like to go, actually, what this is yeah.
Well, actually,
So it's fun to do that. Should we ask, do you have any questions? Do you want everybody to ask questions, or we?
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you all have any questions for us?
Yeah, any
We're
questions
here to
about
talk
paranormal?
ghosts, spirits.
You can even ask paranormal, just, hey, have you ever seen yada yada? Anybody? What's that?
Have you ever seen any or felt any type of way
Going
going into a place?
into a place.
Stories from the paranormal.
Yes, yes, I have. I've been to a place where a horror movie was filmed, and it had absolutely no mojo to it walking through the door, even though the director claimed, you know, that the stuff was happening. I have a feeling it was probably for publicity.
I was gonna say, you have to hype your movie up somehow.
Yeah. The only thing within that house, though, is if you were up, I mean, the dude was weird. First of all, the dude was very weird. But it's Seattle, so what do you think? And then you're in the basement, and I did not want to go, I'm a pretty brave person when it comes to most things. I did not want to go down the steps. It was like a straight drop into a black hallway. And it's things like that that you don't realize. You're like, what's in the hallway? And it was downstairs in one of those rooms that we did get call and response from a child. And it was there the whole time, and we didn't even know it. And he didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Which I think he was kind of like, why did I call these people?
Now I can't unknow this.
There the whole time, and we didn't even know it. And he didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Which I think he was kind of like, why did I call these people?
Now I can't unknow this.
Yeah. Yeah. So even something as simple as you don't think there's anything there, and then you get shocked.
Yeah.
There is.
Sometimes it's the quietest places where you don't, like, you're not picking up anything, and then when you go back and review it, you're like, oh, actually there was a lot going on, and you can't pick up on it while you're there.
Yep. That's the beauty of EVP.
Or we had a paranormal experience.
We
We had two. The
Oh.
first one.
So the objects, first of all,
Oh,
to start the story, on the table back there is the creep case. The objects are not particularly haunted objects. They're just meant to be part of an experiment. But I was showing them live, and I was with her, but we had concluded, and all of a sudden we were talking, and they were right behind me, and we heard like a grunt,
It was a growl.
like a growl. And at first I thought maybe there was a cat behind me or something.
Yeah.
But I went back, and both of us go,
We did.
at the same time, we are both looking behind me. And that was in the Creepy Confidential office.
And then the other
Yes.
one was still in the creepy confidential office.
What was that? Oh yeah, and the other objects. I always forget that I have these things. So on the other side, there are trigger objects from Northern State Hospital. They're from Northern State Asylum in Washington State. And they're not, again, they're one of those things where they're used so that you can, on a paranormal investigation, to help elicit responses from the paranormal, because they recognize it, they know where it's from, and that's what it's for. But it was the last Ghouliecon, we were having a live just to talk about Ghouliecon, turned it all on. Within the first few minutes, my app that says all the words, the Spirit Talker, it said Joanna. And I have it, usually it's old names, Mildred, Ethel, you know, but it just said Joanna. And I was quite shocked for someone who's seen a lot of it. So even just those couple things that are over there. Yeah, that's very true.
You're a creepy lady for real.
You
I
draw
guess I'm
them in.
creepy. I am the creep.
We were, last Ghouliecon, we both had the Spirit Talker going on the 2 different floors of the lounge, and we were getting all kinds of, it was just spitting out names, but Joanna was the first one.
Yep.
So apparently they're drawn to you too.
Yeah, and I do think in buildings such as this, you walk in, and some people will describe a feeling of heaviness.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you drive, and I am a very scientific person. I don't necessarily believe, I can't wrap my noodle around that you could just hear people or see people. I have to see it in my hands. It's just how my brain works. But you can walk into a building that's maybe like this or like the other one, and you just get that weird feeling where you're like, oh, it just feels like literally a weight is on your chest for no reason. So that's a strange thing for someone who doesn't believe it.
Yes,
But I like that, because then it proves me wrong.
exactly.
Like, go for it.
What I've always loved about that, a lot of people will take EMF readers, electromagnetic field readers with them when they go ghost hunting. If you've got weird electromagnetic fields, that can cause that kind of heaviness, which can also draw in, things like spirits, poltergeists, ghosts, stuff like that.
It's like a battery.
It is like a battery, because, well, when you think about it, from like the terms of like physics,
Yes.
energy is not created or destroyed. So if this being is going to continue being, like, you have to feed energy into it somehow. Otherwise, that's why sometimes, like after a while, like hauntings kind of peter out. Kind of if they don't have people continuing to go in and getting more energy, like they kind of peter out over time.
They run out of power. It's like a battery that's had something on it, dragging on it the whole time.
Exactly.
I forgot about all these Ghouliecon related stuff.
Yeah.
Do you guys think there are more reliable tools to use to speak, to your normal entity versus ones that are more like showy, that are on like some of the ghost hunting shows that are more
Right.
for show?
Zach Baggins. Yeah.
So like, what do you say are
Sorry, Zach.
more reliable?
Yeah. I think the big ones to stay away from are things that can be manipulated by a human, either
Yes.
voluntary or involuntary. People tend to not like this answer because there's a lot of people who use them. Things like dowsing rods or speaking boards. It's not a matter of, like, well, I know I'm not doing it. You can completely involuntarily have nothing to do with it. It's not even that. Even if you cut out the maybe religious side of why one might not use one, we have involuntary movements within our bodies that we can't control. So you would never really 100% know exactly what was happening. And you're not supposed to use them by yourself.
Yes.
Period. So now it's you that could be having that. So having said that, some reliable things, you're gonna have to use scientific tools, but you're never gonna really know what they're saying. And that is very heartening, disheartening for someone who wants to prove it. But things like an audio recorder is a great tool to use. Not one with tape though, because if you reuse the tape, you could potentially get things that are on it that are just because you're
Burned in.
reusing it.
Yeah.
But audio is fantastic, but you have to have multiple things.
Yes.
So you're running audio, then you also hook up an electromagnetic field reader. You can get those from Lowe's, Home Depot, literally the ones you use to check your wall. But
Yep.
they'll pop, I know it's crazy. When I first started, get those from Lowe's, Home Depot, literally the ones you use to check your wall. But
Yep.
they'll pop, I know it's crazy. When I first started, it was like the ones you stuck in the plug. Like it was anything to get a scientific reading. So
Yeah.
you have these kind of ones and twos. There's another great one that I have and I use. It's called an S box. But what it does is it scans AM and FM radio, but it does it in a very specific way. Like you get many fields. You might have seen those on these shows. And it's hard to hear it through the but like a spirit portal, which has a really wacky name, but it actually it's good to understand because it cuts these waves off so that you don't hear this insanity. You're able to hear a little bit more. Understand because it cuts these waves off so that you don't hear this insanity. You're able to hear a little bit more. But even again, you cannot 100% prove that that's what you're getting. So I always keep it simple.
Yeah.
Audio recorder, EMF is a good thing to start with.
And my answer on that, I went to film school, so obviously I love video, but you can't always trust that either. People are always getting these orbs and stuff on there, and they don't keep in mind that, it can be things like insects, dust, and stuff like on there. I've had so many people show me orb photos that I'm like, that is 100% dust on your camera lens. I know how that goes.
Yeah.
No judgment. Like, I want it to be a ghost too, but you're going to get stuff like that.
Yeah. Go for it.
Firstly, just wanted to commend you for your search for objective proof and evidence. And having a
Thank you.
proof-driven mind frame is really amazing.
Thank you.
And one thing I find amazing is when they use individuals with extrasensory abilities to solve cold cases, them right to a victim.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how was this not pursued further and explored?
Right.
So if you ever work with anybody who's given you like incontrovertible proof of an extrasensory abilities, I find the supernatural, paranormal, and our own abilities really overlap and this is other entirely our current abilities as humans.
I think that's tricky too because still in this day and age, there's people are like, well, if I can't prove that they, like if you know how to do math, you know how to do math.
Yeah.
But if you prove to me that you can find somebody 100% of the time, but it's not an exact science. You know, I do not have ESP, nor do I know anybody who does, or even mediumship.
You can test your ESP.
Yeah.
By the way, over the Creepy Confidential table, you can test your ESP abilities. Anyways, with scientific, of course. But I think it's hard to weed out that. I have not had a case where I've had to do that personally, and I've been doing it for a while. Because I feel like everybody's got an angle.
Yeah.
And that sounds so jaded, but
And
it's
a lot
true.
of people who do like have those kinds of like abilities,
They're
they're not
there,
always
yeah.
forthcoming about it because there's a lot of stigma about that still. Because you know then people are going to want to run all these tests to prove it.
Yeah.
So I've only ever met 2 people who are mediums, and it's just they don't talk about it in their daily life because most people aren't going to believe them, and who wants to be like getting that all the
Yeah.
time.
Especially in a day and age when everyone's like, oh my God, I'm a medium.
Yeah,
And so am I, and so am I, and
my
so am I,
gosh.
and so am I. Mediums do exist, 100%.
They do.
I will believe in that. But there's no way mathematically that all 100 people are indeed mediums.
and just to dig at somebody real quick, do you all remember in like the early 2000s that lady who was like, I'm a medium and I'm married to Michael Jackson's ghost?
Oh my God. I can't.
Sorry to her, I don't think she's a real medium if she's marrying Michael Jackson's ghost. She also said she was the reincarnation of Marilyn Monroe, so I was like, that's a whole lot of
You're not-
no.
no, that's a no. Yeah, it's a fine line. As soon as you start, it is. I talk about this in my lectures that there is a huge Mariana Trench that runs through the world of the paranormal. You have 100% scientific people that refuse to do anything other than scientific, and then you have 100% people who are like science is dumb, which those people exist.
They do.
And there's a huge trench going down it, and I feel like you need one of those Harry Potter hats when you start it. And you say you were in this house or this house.
To
And it-
sort your paranormal investigation
yeah,
style.
sort your. So you have to, if you're like myself, who maybe believes or dabbles, but it's rare. It's
Yeah.
rare to be okay with it, or a little, but not okay with it.
The funny thing is doing this kind of stuff all the time, people are always like, well, so do you believe? And I'm like,
No.
I always phrase it as I want to believe. Like
Yeah.
I'm seeing these things, I don't have an explanation for them. Is it a ghost? I don't know. Is it just something we haven't learned to scientifically explain yet? Possibly. And I'm totally open to that.
Yeah.
Something weird's happening. I don't know what it is. And so that's why we do stuff like this where we try to classify it and try to kind of figure out what's going on.
Yep. That's why I wish some movies would just leave it more open.
Yeah. When they try to explain it, it's less creepy too, because
Yeah.
whatever your mind's gonna fill in there is gonna be way creepier than whatever they write on paper.
Because in the real paranormal world, you never really get 100% an answer. You don't. So like, I think it would be more freaky, more scary, more woo, if you really don't know.
And you're gonna think about it longer afterwards. So,
Yeah.
tip for any of you all if you're making horror films, leave it a little more open-ended, please.
All right. Well, Creepy Confidential Strange Talk.
Thanks, guys.
The first ever Phantom Focus panel.
Thank you guys so much for coming.
And as much you guys already know, Creepy Confidential table's over there in the corner. Please stop by, be part of that paranormal experiment, add your energy, see if you feel any energy off these things. That's what they're there for. I have some things running. You can check out those trigger objects that we talked about, and you can test your ESP abilities. Let's see what you got.
Yes.
I suck at it. I do not have it.
Now, coming up next, I know you've seen